Angel. I wish I knew the words, but this hits. Ready? Hi, wee lass. It's Barbie. And Ken. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Ride Home Podcast. My name is Caitlin.
And my name is Abby.
Weird.
How'd you like that little switch up?
I kind of liked it. I feel a little bit empowered.
You should do it more often then.
Women empowered.
Happy Barbenheimer. It's like a tongue twister.
That is.
Happy Barbenheimer weekend, everyone.
A mouthful. Happy Barbenheimer weekend. 2023.
This weekend has been foretold by the mystics since the dawn of time.
Truly.
I don't know the last time that there was like this much hype about not only just like one movie, but two movies. I feel like it's almost been a cultural phenomenon.
It absolutely has been. Let me tell you.
The memes, the tweets, the
the merchandise.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I went down an absolute rabbit hole.
You did?
On Etsy.
Uh-huh.
Because fucking Instagram
always
ads,
get you.
There was a really cool Barbenheimer crop top. And I had it in my cart. And this was not even Etsy. This was like some random website. And I was like, I don't know what this place even is.
Right.
So then I went to Etsy and I was like, Barbenheimer shirt. Let me tell you, you would not even believe how many Barbenheimer merchandise related items there are available on Etsy.
The women of Etsy are.
The women of Etsy
like
went
a sweatshop
work
right now.
Like they're just like hustling on their like little sewing machines and embroidery makers and crickets and just going crazy.
Cricketing the shit out
This
of
has been like, is
Barbenheimer.
this going to be like a cultural reset or something?
I
Like,
have no
I
idea.
don't
Are we
know.
about to enter like a parallel universe?
It feels possible.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
We did toss around the idea of like possibly doing a dual episode of Barbie and Oppenheimer. But I think we both agreed that the one thing that we don't like about this weekend is comparing the two movies to each other. Because they couldn't be more different.
Not comparable.
Not
At
comparable
all.
at all. And I think the reason why people latched on so heavily to this idea of both of them coming out is like very, masculine, very feminine, it's like black and white.
It's like polar opposites.
Comedy
yin
and drama.
yang.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I haven't really, I don't want to say like appreciated, but I haven't appreciated it. The thing I haven't appreciated about some of the reviews that I've seen for either movie so far is like, well, this one's better than Barbie and this one's better than Oppenheimer and this one, get your tickets for Oppenheimer instead, get your tickets for Barbie. And I think my whole thing is, if you want to see Barbie, go see Barbie. If you want to see Oppenheimer, go see Oppenheimer. If you want to see both, go see both.
Yeah.
And don't compare the two.
Don't compare them and don't put like what you just said. We don't need to put one down to like praise the other.
Exactly.
Like leave them separate. They're not going to compare.
With all of that being said, I think there was a clear front runner for us in terms of what we were going to see first and review first. And I think primarily it was because I know of no greater fan of Barbie than you.
Doesn't exist.
I think I have heard more childhood stories about Caitlin's Barbies than I've heard of any other like girl in my life talk about their Barbies.
Barbies were literally everything to me. And I have to say, part of the reason of that is because I had some of the coolest Barbie shit ever. I never had a dream house, though. I will say. I never had a dream house, and that's okay. I had a little like fold out house that was like a little like, I don't know what it was. It was not a dream house. But I had a Barbie McDonald's, including a little thing that you clicked and Barbie said, "Welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order?" I had a Barbie bakery. I had like all of the Barbie shit. And I was a very imaginative kid.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents gave me a shit ton of Barbies and Barbie shit. And I just went crazy. And I would just play Barbies all day long, every single day.
Not only do I not have experience with Barbies, my mom was like anti-Barbie. To the point that when my aunts would send me Barbies, which first of all, I wouldn't want them anyway.
Yeah.
But like my mom would hide the Barbie so that I didn't even see it.
And what was the reason for that? Was it like a modesty thing?
Because they were inappropriate. Yeah.
Why were they inappropriate?
I don't know. Because they had boobs. I don't know.
Whoa.
My mom probably knew something I didn't know.
What a weird thing.
She knew she was cooking with something I didn't understand yet,
because
she shielded me from anything Barbie. I could not go near it, couldn't touch it.
Oh my God.
Couldn't play with it. It was Beanie Babies or bust.
I had Beanie Babies also, but Barbies were my shit.
Yeah, I know. So you are the one that has the experience with Barbie and obviously have the connection to it. But I also am a massive fan of Greta Gerwig. Lady Bird is one of the most relatable movies, I think, for both of us and for any kid that went to a Catholic school in the early 2000s.
100%.
It felt like I was watching my school come alive on a screen. And I think anybody who had the Catholic school experience can say the same.
Yep.
She's a very fresh director. Like everything feels very new, and it feels like there's this new perspective that she brings to the film industry. And also she's pretty respected, which is nice because I feel like female directors do not get the time of day as they should. And I appreciate that she's getting some spotlight and people know her name. Like she's not just like film people know her name, like other people know her name.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. So yeah, are you ready to dive into Barbie?
Ready. Let's do it.
I will say we are not going to be doing a spoiler, no spoiler section, and we're just going to talk openly about our review. However, I don't really think this is going to be like a heavy spoiler issue.
Sure.
So if you plan on seeing the movie, you could probably still listen to this. We're not going to really like ruin jokes or anything like that. So just be warned though that a few light spoilers might slip out here or there. So if you do want to go see it and then join us again, obviously go see it.
You're more than welcome
it's Barbenheimer weekend, baby.
Please partake in Barbenheimer.
And wear your best pink dress, like all the girls in our theater.
Oh my God. I felt like an absolute chooch. Because as much as I love Barbie, the only pink thing I own at this moment is a bikini. So clearly that wasn't...
Why didn't you just show up in that?
Appropriate to wear to the movies.
Why not? Just roll up in your pink bikini.
I wore a black romper. And as soon as we sat down, I was like, I should have worn this to Oppenheimer. Like,
I was wearing like forest green and gray.
Yeah, so. I was like, I feel like for Oppenheimer, we need to be dressed as like emo and like all black.
What if we wear all pink to Oppenheimer?
Wait, that's so funny.
Let's do it.
Because everyone was wearing pink and I felt a little bit out of the mix.
I know.
I don't know. It's a fucking missed opportunity, man.
It was, but you know what? Right. I was just proud of everybody in that theater
who
came
proud.
Dressed to the nines,
the fashions
in their dresses. I would never personally sit in a movie theater chair in a dress with spaghetti straps.
Ooh, nope.
I want as much as my body to be covered as possible in a theater chair.
Yeah,
there have been lots of things touching that chair.
Don't talk about it.
Maybe wear like a pink tracksuit if you're getting
please wear a pink tracksuit. Here for that.
But it is time to get into this review.
It is.
Can you give us a little synopsis straight from the source of Google?
Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among humans. And it stars Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, Will Ferrell, Simu Liu, Michael Cera, Kate McKinnon, America Ferrera, Issa Rae. I'll stop there.
You're making a list with your fingers.
I'm making a list with my fingers because, like, is this list ever going to stop?
It's not going to stop.
Quite a cast.
And most of them either play Barbie or Ken.
Most of them
hilarious.
are Barbie or Ken. Yes.
So I need to know, because you are the Barbie connoisseur, and I just need to know if it lives up to your Barbie expectations.
My Barbie dreams.
Your Barb expectations.
Barb expectations.
Barb expectations?
Yeah.
Does it live up to your Barb expectations? That was...
Whoa. All right. We got there.
Yeah.
Okay. In many, many ways, it did live up to my Barb expectations. And in a few ways, it didn't. But that's okay. This was so much fun. I had a lot of fun watching this. And visually, it was everything. Like, it was literally just like delicious to look at.
It was like Ritalin in a movie.
Yeah, it was like truly, I felt, especially Barbie Land, I felt was like reliving my childhood and seeing my Barbies like come to life. And that was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
I have to also say that Margot Robbie is also what I would imagine if a Barbie turned into a person, how she acted, how she looked, how she talked. Like, it was like she is Barbie and Barbie is her.
Yeah.
Like, there was no division at all. And I thought Ryan Gosling was hilarious as always. Like I said, in many ways, I think it accomplished some really cool things. And then I think it did fall short in a couple of things as well. I love Greta Gerwig too. And I think this might be my first movie that I have an issue with. I think she was trying to do too many messages and made them too obvious. And the messages that she laid into would have perhaps better played out if they were a little more subtle. Really, I think that's my main issue with the movie, to be honest. I think it's just that it was not...
A little too on the nose.
A little too on the nose. And maybe that was like a stylistic choice.
Yeah.
Because stylistically as a whole, the movie was on the nose. I mean, it was like Barbie and Ken coming to life. So like, I can maybe see why that was the choice. But there were just parts of it where I was like, oh, it feels a little clunky. It feels a little forced. It feels a little... something like, you know, and I was just wanting it to be down to earth. There were also parts of it that, and maybe it was just because Will Ferrell was there, there were parts of it that felt like the movie Elf in a way. And I don't love the movie Elf. So sorry. Please come for me. I can take it. I'll stand by my statement.
We both do not.
I really
like
don't
Elf.
love the movie Elf. And stylistically, acting and directing wise, there felt like some elfish type
I can see that
moments and humor and writing kind of.
Yep.
And I didn't love that either.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit disappointed because there were also some really good jokes. There were some really well written scenes. Margot Robbie, I think, and Ryan Gosling were incredible. So there were so many good things about this movie, but there were a few things that left me feeling kind of disappointed by, and just wishing just it had been tweaked and fine tuned a little bit more. I don't know. What do you think?
I completely agree with you. I might have disliked it a little bit more than you did.
Probably.
I can actually say I hated the first act.
You did? Like, you thought it was just going to be like Barbie Land the whole time?
No, it wasn't that it was like an issue with Barbie Land. It was the humor was a little, it wasn't hitting at the beginning. I think you used the word clunky. It just, the way we transitioned from scene to scene didn't really even make sense. Like, there was this one scene where Ken, when they're like out in the real world, and it's very like quickly after they get there, Ken talks to this woman, and then he goes on like 7 job interviews, and then he comes back and the woman is still at the school that he talked to her initially at, and is like, that didn't work. Like, how do I do it better? And I know that this isn't a real universe, and this isn't supposed to be truthful to reality. I mean, there's Barbies coming alive.
Sure.
But I think one of the biggest issues with this movie is that she fantasized the real world along with Barbie Land.
Yeah.
And if the real world was actually real and had more down-to-earth characters and down-to-earth moments and didn't have Will Ferrell acting a fool and the FBI chasing after Barbies and this overlord at Mattel, nothing in the real world clicked, made sense. And the human characters that we're supposed to connect to, which is America Ferrera and her daughter, like I could barely even connect with them. They were just kind of there.
Right.
And then they were supposed to be these like game changers in the third act, and it just didn't click. Yeah. And so it almost felt like if they had somehow either incorporated the real world in a more natural way, or they had just kept us in Barbie land the whole time and had Barbie kind of go through her process of self-discovery within the confines of Barbie land, I think it would have been a much better movie than what it turned out to be.
I agree. And I think that's what I was talking about with the clunkiness is like, even though we don't like Elf, the reason that it did work is because the real world was the real world. You know, when Buddy the elf shows up to New York, it's like everyone is normal except for him.
Buddy. Yeah.
And in this version of the real world, everyone was like normal, like no one was acting weird or doing weird things, but there were things that were happening.
I mean, Will Ferrell was not normal.
Okay, no, Will Ferrell was not normal. Mattel was not normal.
The whole board of Mattel,
yeah, FBI was not normal, but like the regular characters, I guess, were normal. I agree with you. I think that was definitely a big issue. You know, initially people were having a reaction to Barbie and Ken because they were literally rollerblading on Venice Beach in like Barbie and Ken like rollerblading 80s workout outfits, which were iconic. And I think if like the general population had continued to react that way to them, that would have made more sense. But it was like eventually that just fell off very quickly. Well, they changed clothes, but we're also in more ridiculous outfits again.
Yeah.
And people just like weren't reacting to them like, and I think they should have kept that going, because I think that also kind of broke it up into like, okay, well, why does everyone just think this is normal now? Like they don't look normal.
Margot Robbie, who did a fantastic job, by the way, like she really, what you said of like embodying Barbie but also just giving a really good performance. She was so grounded and so real. She was the realest thing about that movie, and she was literally Barbie. And so I think what was strange to watch and to like mentally process was seeing this really gorgeous human subtle performance, and then in the very same scene is like the most over the top comedy and like choreographed dance scenes. And there were some scenes, like, don't get me wrong, Ryan Gosling was hilarious in this, and I really do, like, we laughed out loud at him like multiple times, like truly there was this one line that is just stuck in my head that like we both were cackling at. But there was some times where like he was looking at the camera smiling almost like he was about to break character.
Yes, I noticed that.
And
several
they kept
times
it in. And so it was a very weird thing going from Ken, who was just the most ridiculous over the top version of Ken that we could see from start to finish.
Sure.
Like truly. And then trying to incorporate obviously these other Barbies and Michael Cera as well, who has a really funny role as Alan, who's like the only non-male Ken. Very funny. But it was just this weird disconnect between what was going on with Margot Robbie's character and what was going on in the rest of the movie. And I feel like it never actually blended properly. And they were also force-feeding messaging that you and I agree with. We're obviously feminists and like very pro-women, and we agree like life can suck for women and there is still a patriarchy. However, they could have really done it in a natural and more shocking way, I guess, for her to experience what the world is like as a woman in the real world. I think they could have done more with that, and it was just like 2 scenes and we're done. And instead we have full-blown monologues about how hard it is to be a woman in the world. And it's just like too on the nose. It's one of those, you agree with the messaging, but not how the message was given.
I was going to say, I think if the message were delivered in a different package, you know, it would have been, I mean, now don't get me wrong. I 100% cried during that monologue about how hard it is to be a woman because I'm a woman and I cry about shit, and that's fine.
Right.
Not all women cry, but I am a woman who cries. But I agree. I think it would have been more impactful for Barbie to experience that in a different way than just like hearing about it.
In my screenwriting classes back in college, one of like the things that was drilled into our heads was show, don't tell. And this was a perfect example of telling and not showing, because all of the messaging was just told to us, and the rest of the movie was just, let's be as ridiculous as possible, let's make them laugh, and let's do some really over the top things.
It was like a weird mix of like what it feels like to play with Barbies. Like that playful and fun and creative and imaginative side. Like, dude, Kate McKinnon's character.
She was hilarious.
She was hilarious.
As the busted up Barbie.
But we all had a weird Barbie. When I played with Barbies, I had two Kens. One was just a Ken doll and one was an Aladdin doll. And I was playing Barbies one day and I didn't have enough Ken dolls for whatever was happening in my Barbie land that day.
Scene.
So I decided I was going to turn one of my Barbies into a Ken. And so I cut her hair.
You said trans rights back in the day.
I said trans rights from 1997. I cut her hair, which if you cut a Barbie's hair, it's literally, there's no take backs and it's the worst thing you could ever do. Because it doesn't cut like a human's hair. It doesn't, it's plastic. So like when you cut it, it just stands up straight, like how Kate McKinnon's hair looked. I cut her hair and she had earrings in. So I rolled her head until her earrings popped out.
Stop.
I like popped her earrings out, but she still had makeup on because she was a Barbie. She was my weird Barbie, and once I did that, I never played with her again. So it's true. Yeah, it happens. We've all had a weird Barbie that gets thrown in the corner because and what they said in the movie is because you play with them too hard, and that's true. That's what happened.
I just kept thinking about Jasper from TikTok. Like I wanted the Jasper voice to come out of the weird Barbie.
I know you did. So I think it was like a weird mix of like what it felt like as a kid to play with Barbies. I think Greta Gerwig is probably around our age, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I related a lot to those parts of the movie, and they were very nostalgic and, like I said, really fun, visually very.
And like, were there Barbies that you recognized within the cast?
Yeah, like Skipper and Midge and like all like the
the Midge jokes.
Dude, the
were
Midge
hilarious.
jokes were so funny. And that's the thing, like there was so much like relatable like Barbie content and like cultural,
which I didn't relate to.
We're lost on you.
Yeah.
So, but it was very relatable and fun and exciting for me to see all of that stuff, and it made me feel like a little kid again, you know, in some parts of it. And so those parts were really emotional and fun and nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, the messaging just, it felt so disjointed. And there really wasn't like a very good meld of those two things at all. It wasn't cohesive.
And I really wish that it was, because, again, Margot Robbie had such a beautiful performance. And I know that she was capable of delivering that positive message
100%
in a much better way.
Yes.
But I feel like that's about the case for any message you're delivering. If you're shoving it down people's throats, no matter what the message is, positive or negative, it's not going to be received as well as if you delivered it.
Yeah, it's all about the approach.
Right. And she did a couple of times. There's a scene, I won't spoil it too much so that when you see it, you can like really experience it. But there is a scene where she interacts with an older woman when she first gets to the real world, because there's no old people in Barbie land. And I thought that scene was by far the most beautiful pro-woman feminist scene.
Yes.
And like I teared up. That was the only scene that I teared up, was that scene. I thought it was gorgeous. It was a beautiful scene. And so we had these little pockets, like these little bubbles of like really shining moments, and they were mostly all from Margot Robbie. So just like hats off to her. Like she did a fantastic job.
She carried everyone on her back.
Another issue that I had overall was the plot itself was really empty.
Yeah.
And I tried my hardest to get on board with it. And that's why, like, in the first act, I was really struggling. Like, I was just like, this is just really, I am not jumping on board with this. And the only reason why I enjoyed the third act and, like, towards the end a little bit more was because I felt like I accepted my fate almost. Like, I was like, I'm not getting what I thought I was going to get. And that's okay. I'm just going to enjoy this now. And so I watched it for what it was, and I just allowed myself to joke around with, it felt like Ryan Gosling. Like, literally, It felt like he was on SNL.
Yeah.
And, like, he was capable of breaking character mid-scene. Like, it was so strange.
So weird, yeah.
Still, it was hilarious.
It was.
And I don't get me wrong, I very much enjoyed my experience in the movie. I think it was a lot of fun. And I have to give a quick shout out to 3 technical perspectives of the movie that I thought were amazing. And so I don't want to, like, downplay the fact that, sure, we have issues, but there are some really amazing things. You touched on it before about how you felt like it was playing with Barbies and that experience. I've never played with a Barbie. I have drowned a Barbie in a toilet before.
Oh my God.
It was my cousin's Barbie and I drowned her.
Deserve that.
I know. I was trying to flush her and she just kept spinning.
Trying to give her a swirly?
Yeah.
Don't ever mess with a little girl's Barbies.
I didn't know what to do with them. So I drowned it.
That's like, okay, that is literally like a currency to a child. When I was little, me and this little girl in my neighborhood would trade Barbie clothes with each other. And we would like have like little like meets on the corner to like trade Barbie clothes. Like, I'm telling you, Barbie Bazaar. Yeah, like the Barbie Bazaar. Truly, like that's like gold to a child.
Well, even though I didn't play with Barbies and I did not have a Barbie Bazaar, I could still appreciate the production design. I have seen a Barbie dream house in real life. The way they nailed Barbie Land, dude, was fantastic. Which I think my favorite little trivia note that I'm sure a lot of people have already heard was that this film caused a global shortage in pink paint.
Oh my God.
Because they bought so much pink paint for this set that there was a global shortage of pink paint.
Iconic behavior.
Amazing. So I have to say that Barbie Land was stunning. The cinematography, also, I thought there were some really stunning shots and moments, which we looked up the cinematographer, and he has done a lot of work that is very readily recognizable.
Yes. Brokeback Mountain,
Argo,
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. So he's done some like legit, Oscar contending movies, and you could tell like it was shot incredibly well. Yeah. And I will also say, just from a consumer perspective, I loved the music. Because the soundtrack, we've been bopping to the soundtrack for a couple of weeks now. So
yes, we have.
We have a problem. We can't stop listening to a couple of the songs. So there were really bright and shining moments. Ryan Gosling was funny. Margot Robbie was amazing. And then those 3 things I would have to say are
the highlights.
The highlights for me. Overall, the writing, the pacing, the plot, most of the humor, definitely a hit or miss situation.
Yeah. Do you know what else I struggled with? Because this movie made me feel like I was young again, and it also made me feel very, very old.
Really?
Because Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants was one of my favorite books in movies when I was, I think, in high school, middle school, maybe. I can't remember. America Ferrera was in that when she was like a teenager, when I was a teenager. In this movie, she plays a mom of a teenager.
I feel like they probably could have thrown a traveling pants joke in there. They were very, it was
she
very
used
meta.
The word sisterhood.
Did she? Oh, so they
she
did.
used the word sisterhood. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you another little trivia fact that is actually going to really upset you.
Oh, no.
Timothy Chalamet was supposed to have a
I did see
guest
this.
star. Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was going to have him have a cameo, and unfortunately his schedule didn't work out. I'm so sorry.
I know. I already knew that, and I've already mourned that.
You've already mourned that loss.
I've already mourned that.
Despite our grievances with Barbie, I think we both still enjoyed it. I think we both still had a good time at the theater.
Definitely.
And I'm still just in complete adoration of Greta and her work, and I look forward to whatever she puts out in the future. This is not something that I am like, oh my God, I'm turned off from Greta forever.
Sure.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So, you ready for some popcorn scores?
Yeah, let's do it.
What is your popcorn score?
I'm first. This is a medium popcorn for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Margot Robbie is a large.
I know you want to give Ryan Gosling a large.
Ryan Gosling a large just because he's Ryan Gosling.
Also, Ryan Gosling's abs deserve a
Good
large.
Lord.
How is he in his 40s? He doesn't look at all like he looks our age. It's insane.
He's,
aging very well.
Yep.
I will also give this a medium.
Okay.
I did not by any means hate it. I enjoyed my experience, but I absolutely wish there were so many things that were different.
Definitely. Me
and
too.
The potential is really frustrating. Like it really had the potential to be like, it had the bones with especially Margot Robbie's performance to become something that is almost like Oscar worthy.
Sure.
Although I'm disappointed in the direction that it went, I still had a great time.
Me too.
And not only that, but I think I'm going to be adding Ken's song to my Spotify playlist.
Yes. Just Ken.
What a bop. Well, that wraps it up for us. I am sorry that we couldn't give a more positive review. However, if you are choosing to see Oppenheimer this weekend instead, we will be dropping another episode next Friday on Oppenheimer. We're going to be seeing it this Saturday. And then there will be another episode for you guys to complete the Barbenheimer
experience
back-to-back feature. We hope you guys enjoy your weekend. It is going to be crazy at the theater. Get there early if you want snacks, because there's probably going to be a lot of lines.
A lot of pink.
Buy your tickets early. It's going to be a lot of sold out shows. So enjoy the movies this weekend, guys, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for joining us on the ride home.